It works strictly in reverse. For example, you hit Masha, June 11th. So, in the next life on June 11th, Masha will hit you. So, for example, you are a maniac who killed 10 women. So next time you will be reborn as each of these women and live through that story when you essentially killed yourself, is what happens to you exactly what you did to other people. So if your ex-husband is taking your property, it means that in a past life you were that ex-husband and took your own future, your property. Therefore, when you start to understand this principle, the system absorbs these stories because karma can be worked through in 3 ways. It's about experiencing the situation through actions. This feeling is when someone next to you is going through something similar, and you are already going crazy. Or it's a thought when you watch, roughly speaking, a movie about such a situation and you're already thinking about the US. The system is very economical. It will not force you to get into negative situations. If you understand it in a good way, only if you don't understand it in a good way will it literally rub your nose in your own actions.
Actually, if you treat her words without mockery philosophically, there is this treatise called Vasista Yoga. This is the treatise that conveys the idea about that all people are one, that all people are one person, that everything is everything. Therefore, if you look, here it is through this prism that corresponds to reality. This prism of perception means that when there is only one single being, it is simultaneously in various roles. Well, let's say he's taking away an apartment. But I completely disagree that this is about past and future lives. Well, it's not just the past, it's also the future lives. This happens in one moment. The original being, the Atman. The original Brahman, Shiva, how do you want him? All what you want. It divided into multiplicity. And 2 of its particles, for example, this one and this one. No, this particle here, they start interacting, but he's doing it to himself. For example, this one attacks that one, and this one takes damage. With her, the story. Then they will turn, like this, and everything will happen the other way around. But, if there is only one being, and it doesn't need to turn around, it happens immediately, and the opposite occurs. So, being the original, he attacks, and he, being the original, receives this attack. It's all the same being. So, basically, in essence, it's rather quite correct. World description. The only thing that ruins everything is the timeline. As soon as we connect the timeline, everything collapses and turns into some kind of wild trash and nonsense. But if we mean that the timeline is just an illusion and it exists in the material world, it's not nonsense. Initially, it really experiences both of these states at the same time.
What do you think? Is karma and the reflection of our actions the same thing?
Yeah, no, well, of course, there's nothing like that there. Here, absolute reflection. There, a lot. A lot depends on the state in which all of this took place. Some part is determined by the rhythms of the universe in which all of this took place. So, there are, for example, moments in a person's life when they do something silly, but basically, it has no consequences. And then there are moments when they do foolish things that have consequences for years to come. Right now, we are in a period until December 22nd, when our actions will have long-lasting consequences. And after that, it gets a bit easier. There's a period called, for example, Navaratriya. Well, that foolishness, it's just a disaster. If it lasts for 9 days, if you haven't done anything foolish during those 9 days, the same reality, so again, it will look at you out of the corner of its eye. And again, let's not forget that a lot depends on the state in which you produce all this. When Shiva, in his state of fire, consumes the universe, he has no karma, even though he has destroyed an entire universe. And when you, in a state of hatred, curse your own parent, you can ruin your entire future, right up until your death. So, the only thing I can say about this is, so it's global for the people who will be listening to this. Develop your extrasensory perception. It will allow you to sort everything out on your own. I can, hearing this statement, make it so that it becomes true. But I can do this because I know how this world works. If a person doesn't know how this world works, no matter how precious or secretive a book you give them, they won't see anything. So develop your extrasensory perception. It is she who allows. Get out of the state of constant questioning and enter the state. Appreciation of this reality.
Anton, could you share your personal experience when that very mirroring manifested in your life?
Actually, a bunch of such moments. But the most vivid moment for me when I was still doubting was when I thought, maybe it doesn't work that way after all. This is a group. The area was called Izmailovsky, Northern Izmailovo. It's the outskirts of the city. When I was a child, there were all sorts of gang conflicts. There are 2 forest parks there. Constantly someone was being buried. Constantly someone was being dug up. Someone was taken away. There was a huge Cherkizovsky market, and we used to go to that market to kill time by stealing. We went to steal, and someone would get caught. There weren't any serious consequences because it was that kind of time. People were pretty calm about everything. And of course, I built up some karma for myself there. So I committed those acts. I opened up to stealing, even towards myself. Did they steal from me? Of course, they stole first one thing, then another, then a third. And I lived for a while when that was normal for me. Well, like I stole and then I got stolen from. We live so. But when I started to become more or less to dive into esotericism, to focus on developing my abilities, at some point I decided that I don't like that kind of relationship. I don't like that kind of interaction. I don't like lying. I don't like stealing. I don't like living in a way where I have to hide things, conceal stuff, be dishonest. I don't like any of that. I told myself just inside that I wouldn't do that anymore because I don't like it. They stopped lying to me. What do you think? Yeah, nothing changed. They just kept lying to me like they always did. They stopped lying to me. Yeah, nothing changed. They just kept lying to me like they always did. But I didn't give up. I don't know, it became a matter of principle. And after a few years, suddenly, I realized that for the last few months, nothing has disappeared. And not because I'm now watching everything closely. And when I moved to live in Altai, our house was out in the sticks. Not out in the sticks, but it was still near a forest strip in the field. No one was keeping an eye on it. A lot of things, tools, a generator, saws, chains, everything was lying in absolutely open access. You could just come up, drive your car, unload it all, and take it away. No one took. You could just walk into the house. There are things, there are documents, there is money. There was valuable stuff there, but we couldn't keep an eye on that house 24/7. We needed to leave. All was in place. So this theft suddenly disappeared from my life. And people come to my home, I meet up. I go to different places, interacting in different situations. All my things, everything is with me. But I don't act that way either. I haven't acted that way in a long time. I don't remember the last time someone deliberately lied. Deliberately in the sense of deceiving me or creating some kind of wrong image. Yes, people made mistakes. Yeah, people there said some things that didn't match reality, but that wasn't the main goal. So it wasn't planned in advance. Why? Because I didn't do that. But I hadn't done that for much longer than it started to resonate with me. That is, for some time when I stopped doing this, by inertia, reality continued to interact with me in this way. And then, when that inertia ended, when that balance was restored, I really saw that as you are in the world, so is the world. At first, you might just not have enough to hold on, to maintain your position.
But in any case, the mirroring exists, and you need to relate to the world accordingly.
You know, there is the discovery of possibility. If you say punch someone, it doesn't mean that someone will punch you. Not necessarily. But if the circumstances come together in such a way that this in principle, will be good. It will happen. So it's not that straightforward. It's just the discovery of such possibilities. For example, I can punch someone in the face and then be completely flawless. There's nothing to it. But as soon as I slightly undermine my flawlessness, then it can hit you all at once. So there's a game here, a dance.
You need to be careful.
Yes, you can with all this messing.
Thank you for your answers. Make sure to write your questions and impressions. Maybe we'll answer them in the next video.
Do you want to unlock your inner strength and learn to manage energy? The course, Power of Consciousness 1. Practical Energy will provide you with tools to improve health, develop intuition, and gain a deeper understanding of the world. Join and start changing your life right now. Link in the description.